It is time for war. It's time to disagree with everything Prydwen is saying. Good morning, bosses. How are y'all doing? Hopefully you're having a great day. We're gonna be talking a little bit about Milk Blooming Bunny, the fantastic looking milk, the best looking milk, because the original milk was awful. The treasure was something that drive me insane with how bad it was. And now finally we have a proper good milk. Alright, so we're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on with the tier list, where they have placed it, what they're recommending for building, if we agree or not, the usual banter. Right, and we're going to be chilling for a little bit as usual as well. Hello there, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. Today's topic: Prydwen GG updated tier list. Where is this tier list? We're gonna be checking as usual the bossing, because it's the only tier list I care about personally. Okay, you all know, for example, low deficit and PvP, I don't care. So we just focus on this one today. And I can see that she's an SS on everything but C on PvP. Okay. In terms of pure damage, by the way, I can agree with her being here. My problem and why on my tier list she is lower is because we're rating completely different things. This is a bossing tier list and mine is an overall PvE usage. So in mine she's gonna be going down because how hard it is for most of you to actually put her at this level of damage. Not only she's a needy girl on investment, but she also is a manual heavy girl. Meaning that level of damage is only gonna apply to the people that are on the top of the solo rates. Most other people will not be able to do that, because she's not like Alice or Red Hood where you can just spam shots. So that level of damage is not gonna be for everyone. But again, it's different ways of rating. And I saw this on my other video when I made my own video for the tier list on Milk, by the way. That some people were saying, oh, I prefer this tier list, or I prefer that tier list, or I prefer this, or I prefer that. Guys, first of all, use whatever you like more. Second, always use multiple tier lists. Like, I think this is obvious, but websites, wikis, are like content creators. You should not base all of your opinions on one website. You should have a couple and see what they're saying and then test yourself, alright? Some of you take websites way too fucking seriously as a Bible, okay? That's it, enough ranting. Let's actually go into the review and see what they're saying. Milk Blooming Bunny, as usual, we're gonna be going to the review, investment tips and tips. I don't know if I said this already, but leave a like, subscribe, how many kill the channel, right? We are getting close to the 10k mark. We're like, what, 9.1 almost, something like that? 900 to go. Damn, 10k, bro. 10k subs by playing Gunner games. We're not gonna be reading the whole review. I love you, my beautiful co-workers at Prydwen, but that's too much text. Okay, so chill. Let's go into the pros and cons first. This should be big enough for you guys to see it, but I'm gonna be zooming anyway right here. Perfect. So let's start with the pros. As peers, great for campaign content or for bosses with pars or pierceable spots. Absolutely. My problem with campaign, by the way, or the only issue I see on campaign, is that Red Hood and Alice still hold more value than Milk will ever do on campaign at high deficit. Because at high deficit, you need to be spamming your shots, you need to be covering, you need to be using your burst faster, and she's a character you need to be holding, then she needs to go into the reload, then you need to wait. Like, I don't think on hard campaign at high deficits we'll see her that often, unless it's Iron Week specifically, right? Still, fantastic character. Distribute damage assist, including mobs in bosses with ads as well as in campaign. Same thing as the first point, not gonna add anything though. High self buff during off burst help her deal decent damage when she's not bursting. She has really good buffs, but it's like a pro and a con, I will say, right? Because then you need to be careful who you're pairing here with and what other supports you're using. Because any support that's giving her pierce and attack mostly, attack is useless for her. Pierce, I'm not sure. If anyone knows, do let me know. That would be interesting to check. Like, what's the point where Pierce starts to fall off? How much Pierce is too much Pierce? Because when she's bursting, she's getting a lot of Pierce. Outside of her burst is not that much. Also, why I'm going up to stay in. High self-attack buff helps a lot on higher CP deficits, comparable to the top DPSs in the current meta in both bossing and campaign. In terms of pure damage output, absolutely, and she surpasses a lot of them, by the way. We talked about this the other day. She is stronger in terms of like the damage ceiling she has is really good. The problem is that she is one of the first characters that not only has great damage ceiling, but you also need to actually properly play her. And I'm gonna be honest here. I know some of you will not like this, but most of us, I'm gonna include myself here, are not manualing her, okay? I'm just saying, most of us are not gonna be manualing Milk. That's why I don't think she should be this high, but again, I'm not talking about like pure damage, I'm talking about actual usability for most people, right? And then they keep going with the best Pierce DPS if played to her maximum potential in a neutral element environment. PSA can't be no, it's awfully manual intensive. It's really bad, it's really bad. And the best DPS period against bosses with constant Pierce, example Ultra, Material Age, Stonebringer, etc. On Ultra, I think Red Hood is still better, but again, that's from what I've been testing. I don't know if you guys got different results on Ultra, but for me on Ultra, I could not get her to be better than Red Hood. Ultra feels like a boss that was made for Red Hood. But outside of Ultra, at least with Iron DPSs, I couldn't find a situation where she's worse than the other girls. Now, of course, my Raven is still doing better, my SBS is doing better, my Cindy is doing better, my Doro, but I have a lot more investment on those characters. Even though my Mill actually got like 3 Elemental, I believe it is. Yeah, 3 Elemental. It's still not enough compared to the investment I have on the other girls, which is fine. And then she's so cute. No, she's so hot. Alright? Let's put things straight, Prydwen. Hey! What do you mean she's so cute? No, absolute as much. What you mean cute, sir? Absolute as much. Now, let's go into the cons and see what's going on in there. To consider Milk a usable unit, players need to heavily invest into her overload gear lines. 11-12 lines are a basic requirement. I don't think it's a requirement for her to work. You can skip attack, you can just go with the charge, and charge, by the way, can be also have a half skip. We'll talk about it on a second. But you just go elemental and then max ammo if you want max ammo. But even if you go without max ammo, the pictures I showed the other day of a Core 7 Red Hood versus a Milk and Milk winning was one without even ammo. It had 1 line or no lines at all, so yeah. Extremely manual intensive and anchored gameplay is needed to maximize her damage potential. Yeah, it's awful, I don't like it at all. But I don't like it because I'm a lazy bitch, right? I like characters that I can auto or barely just have to do anything, and Milk requires a lot of min-maxing I'm not interested in, but still, she looks too good, so I'll probably put her on a team, even on auto, just because I like her a lot. Similar to Alice or Red Hood, and unlike Snow White, Milk needs a high uptime of Pierce to take maximum advantage of her skills, Material Age, Ultra, Stonebringer. Meanwhile, Snow White is able to deal higher damage to bosses that have weak arts. I'm not gonna comment on Snow White because you all know this, okay? I cannot give you a proper tip or provide anything interesting here because I never invested in Snow White. It was a character that I just never really got interested into. I just don't care enough about her, okay? What can I say? So I never really invested into her. She's extremely picky about buffs and has low scalability due to her damage coming from too many buffs. Only damage taken debuff scale well for her and reload speed to some extent. Reload speed is nice. It doesn't really make a difference because you're only going to be taking advantage while you are actually shooting or spamming shots to reapply your buff. Attack damage is going to be good, damage taken, fantastic. And then attack is useless because she gets so much attack. I'm lost right now, where is Milk here? She gets so much attack on her own that it does not matter. That if you put her with something like Litter, she's not going to be taking advantage of those buffs. Crit buffs, however, are still actually pretty nice for her. And then hard to burst gen with her since every other burst she has to self-reload for 3 long seconds. It's not real, but this is what I said, by the way, that I don't think she's gonna be seen that much on her campaign with big deficits, just because how annoying it is to actually use her, right? But again, we'll see. I might be wrong, and I have no problems on that. That said, let's take the investment they're recommending, and they're recommending, of course, 777 into 10 on all the skills. Now, I'm surprised they're recommending max ammo as essential. I have already said this, I think you can skip ammo, it's not necessary. I would focus rather on elemental as priority because it's gonna be where you are using her, elemental content. I would ignore attack and then getting those filler lines of crit and crit damage. Again, this is of course gonna be personal preference and how you wanna handle applying the buffs. To me, with 1 line of ammo or no ammo, it means that I can literally, every time I have to reload, I can reapply this full charge Pierce buff. And it will match really well. It's not 6 seconds, it's a little bit less, but it's a nice visual cue as to when you have to full charge. If you actually go for 4 ammo, it means you have to be way more conscious on when you have to reapply this full charge buff, which to me is way more min max. I don't want to do that. I'm lazy. That's what I would recommend, going elemental over the max ammo. In fact, I would put elemental as an essential rather than the ammo. Or if you want to leave the ammo, it's fine. But ele is needed on all characters nowadays. At the end of the day, the main endgame is going to be elemental content. And then for the cubes, they are recommending Resilience, Bastion, and also Distraction for PvE. They've been recommending Distraction a lot on Prydwen. I'm gonna be honest, I don't care about Distraction. I don't think I even have the cube. Okay, I don't think I even. Nah, I didn't even have it unlocked. It's a nice cube. I would rather go Pierce because I think Destruction is the part ones, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I would rather go Pierce cube over Destruction, but again, it's because the damage to parts is situational, right? You're only gonna be really using it when the boss has parts. So you're getting a cube to at least level 12, 13, 14, just to use it when shift up decides to put one of those solar rays, right? Not before. But outside of that, I agree with basically everything. I'm curious to see what teams they are recommending. The normal meta teams, which is completely expected, with the maids, with Raven for actually distribute damage, which makes sense. On the Miranda team, can she really take advantage of the Miranda team though? I don't think she can, no? Because Snow White can take advantage of this, so it makes sense to put her with Miranda. But Milk, outside of getting those buffs from Grave, you probably would benefit more from running another B1 for better CDR, but again, you're running already Helm, so it's fine. We'll probably need to see what's going on the next raid and what teams are gonna be actually run, considering it's Motherwell, one of the most annoying bosses in the game by far. We'll see what's going on. Shift up, please don't make Motherwell too annoying, I beg of you. That said, enough japping though. That's basically everything for this review that they have done of Prydwen. As usual, I like it. I don't agree with everything and I wouldn't put her so high. But again, we are not even rating the same things. You have 4 distinct tier lists in here, and I have one where I just lump everything in there together. That's it. As usual, we are live every single day. Bossos. Links in the description down below. Good luck with your pool, the internet, and I'll see you on the next one.